Aramaic and Palestinian Targum. We're reading Genesis chapter 11. And all the earth was of one language, and one speech, and one counsel. In the holy language spake they, that by which the world had been created at the beginning. And it was while they were journeying from the east that they found a plain in the land of Babel, and dwelt there. The Jerusalem text says, and all the inhabitants of the earth were of one language, and of one speech, and of one counsel, and they spake the holy language by which the world was created at the beginning, while their hearts erred afterwards, after the word of him who spake. And the world was at the beginning, and they found a plain in the land of Pontus, and dwelt there. And they said, a man to his fellow, come, we will cast bricks and put them in the furnace. And they had built brick for stone, and slime for cement. And they said, come, we will build us a city and a tower, and the head of it shall come to the summit of the heavens. And we will make us an image for worship on the top of it, and put a sword in his hand to act against the array of war. Before that we be scattered on the face of the earth. And the Lord was revealed to punish them for the work of the city and the tower which the sons of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people was one, and the language of them, all of them is one. And this they have thought to do, and now they will not be restrained from doing whatever they imagine. And the Lord said to the 70 angels which stood before him, come, we will descend and will there commingle their language, that a man shall not understand the speech of his neighbour. And the word of the Lord was revealed against the city, and with him 70 angels, having reference to 70 nations, each having its own language, and thence the writing of its own hand. And he dispersed them from thence upon the face of all the earth into 70 languages. And one knew not what his neighbour would say, but one slew the other, and they ceased from building the city. Therefore he called the name of it Babel, because there did the Lord commingle the speech of all the inhabitants of the earth, and from thence did the Lord disperse them upon the faces of all the earth. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was a son of 100 years, and he begat Arphaxad 2 years after the deluge. And Shem lived after he had begotten Arphaxad 500 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 35 years, and begat Shelach. And Arphaxad lived after he begotten Shelach 430 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Shelach lived 30 years, and begat Eber. And Shelach lived after he had begotten Eber 403 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Eber lived 34 years, and begat Peleg. And Eber lived after he had begotten Peleg 430 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years, and begat Reu. And Peleg lived after he had begotten Reu 290 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Reu lived 32 years, and begat Serug. And Reu lived after he had begotten Serug 207 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Serug lived 30 years, and begat Nahor. And Serug lived after he had begotten Nahor 200 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Nahor lived 29 years, and begat Terah. And Nahor lived after he had begotten Terah 116 years and begat sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram and Nahor and Haran. These are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begat Lot. And it was when Nimrod had cast Abram into the furnace of fire because he would not worship his idol, and the fire had no power to burn him, that Haran's heart became doubtful, saying, If Nimrod overcome, I will be on his side, but if Abram overcome, I'll be on his side. And when all the people who were there saw that the fire had no power over Abram, they said in their hearts, Is not Haran, the brother of Abram, full of divinations and charms? And has he not uttered spells over the fire, that it should not burn his brother? Immediately there fell fire from the high heavens and consumed him, and Haran died in the sight of Terah his father, where he was burned in the land of his nativity in the furnace of fire, which the Kasdi had made for Abram his brother. So in that fire, talks a lot about this in the writings of Abraham and in ancient books. It's because Abram would not worship Nimrod. In that fire, Abram survived 3 days and 3 nights, and not even his hair smelt of fire in a furnace, where his brother who doubted, Haran, he died. So the two of them were thrown in there. And in the writings of Abraham, it talks about it, that Nimrod actually brings Abram into his temple, and Abram gives a beautiful speech about how Nimrod is not worshipping the true God and how he needs to repent. And because of that, Abram leaves Ur, the city of Ur, with a number of the people there that he turned to faith, and then they went out from the city. And Abram and Nahor took to them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarah, and the name of the wife of Nahor, Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah and the father of Iscah, who is Sarah. Oh, excuse me. And Sarah was barren, she had no child. And Terah took Abram his son and Lot, Haran, the son of his son, and his daughter-in-law Sarah, the wife of Abram his son, and went forth with them from Ur of the Kasdi to go to the land of Canaan. And they came unto Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. So this is the lineage of Shem. Abraham came from that. There's quite a lot of information missing in the Targum about Abram, how he actually grew up with Noah and Shem and learnt the ways of the ancient before he went back to Ur, where he had this situation with Terah, his father, who worked for Nimrod, and a sort of standoff between Abraham and Nimrod over who's the true God, the one that worships stone and bricks that don't speak or talk or think or can even save themselves, or the God that created the world, the living God. So this is the end of the reading. I hope you enjoyed it.